In the blink of an eye, half a year has passed. You may have done well in some things, and you may have done not so well in some other things. Today's video is to ensure that regardless of how you went in the first semester, you can be fully prepared for the hectic second half of the year that is to come. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope your studies are going well and I hope you're eagerly anticipating the holidays that are to come. As with my last video, please put any questions you have in the comments below and I'll be collating these for my 100th video Q&A. If this is the first time you're seeing me, hi, my name's Darren. I'm a second year med student studying at Monash University here in Melbourne, Australia. And if you're wondering about my credentials with VCE, I graduated in 2020 with an ATAR of 99.95. The holidays are really a double-edged sword. It feels like you have a lot of time to complete your work and catch up, which is true, but it also seems to just go in the blink of an eye. So today's video will be focusing on what I would advise you guys to complete in these holidays to maximize your effort and be very well prepared for semester 2. Now everything I say today is prefaced with the idea that holidays are definitely for recovering, for re-energizing, and for just enjoying yourself as well. But the way to do that, and for me personally, I feel like I can't really enjoy myself if I have the idea of work hanging over me. So what I've really aimed to do today, especially in the second section of today's video, is to give you guys the really important tasks that you should aim to complete so that once you've arranged time to complete those or you've done those, you can really just enjoy your holidays even more. So today's video will be split into two parts. In the first part, I'll be talking about sort of general prep in the holidays. So these are things that are pretty applicable to every subject and just broadly distributes your homework into different types and advises you on what you can be doing. And the second part of the video, I'll be going through my specific subjects and talking about what I would advise you guys to complete for those subjects. Enjoy. Alright, so tips that are applicable to everyone, regardless of what subject you are studying. So for me, I studied 7 subjects in my VCE journey, which is quite a lot, but there are definitely people out there who are studying subjects that I didn't. But these tips are applicable regardless of what you're doing. So I'll be breaking this section of the video into 3 parts. The first part is the past, the second part is the present, the third part is the future. So by the past, what I'm referring to is topics that you have covered in the past, like during the semester. And in the present, what I mean by that is homework that your teacher has given you to complete during this holiday period. And when I'm talking about future, what I mean is future content that you'll be covering in the next semester. So I'll be speaking to each of those, how you should be addressing each of those 3 timelines. No better place to start than the present. I think homework can be divided into 2 categories. We have important homework and we have not so important homework. What I mean by that is important homework is homework that really contributes to your understanding and improvement in a subject, whereas unimportant homework is sometimes just sort of stuff that you got to get done. So with English, important homework is something like a homework essay that your teacher has set, and they will very likely do so for this mid-year break, whereas unimportant homework is like writing up chapter summaries for a play or a book. I'd advise you to complete all your homework just because it just shows your diligence and organization, but spend far more time on the important homework. With the unimportant homework, like the chapter summaries, it's just a tick box kind of job. Get it done early in the holidays so you don't have to think about it ever again. Put in like some effort into it, but spend far more time and effort in your important homework. Particularly in English, for me, as I mentioned in my last video, homework essays were a really core part of my revision. I would devote hours upon hours on the task and devote a lot of energy as well. And I found that that gave me the best feedback and the most improvement for my future work as well. So all in all, you may have spent the same amount of time across both tasks, but by being able to split your homework tasks into important and unimportant, you'll be able to allocate your time far more efficiently because you'll know which tasks will help you reap the most benefit when next sem rolls around. Now let's take a trip back to the past, and we're talking about revision. For me, this is more of a problem in med school where I found that there was relentless content every week, and if I didn't really understand something fully when I learnt it, it was very hard for me to find time to revise it later on. Now, the holidays are a really good opportunity because the holidays put work that's immediately due on hold, and you have time to go back and revise and consolidate your weak areas. So it's really important for you to identify your weak areas no matter what subject you're studying. There are many ways to do this. You can have a look at your SAC results. For me, I kind of had a gist of what areas I was weak in, and that may guide your revision as well. You can also look at the study design, go through your class notes, and also some companies for some subjects, or maybe even your school, offer like Unit 3 tests. And once again, those will guide you to what topics that you're not very good at. And once you've identified those areas, then complete more practice questions, complete more research on those topics, and just really make sure your knowledge is consolidated well before the next semester. Now let's hop to the future. For me, looking ahead is secondary to consolidating my past weak areas and also completing my current work. But it's pretty important if you want to ace in subject, and also it's pretty useful for languages because the holidays are a really good opportunity for you to memorize your oral. With where to start, it's pretty obvious. You just start at the next topic that your school is going to cover. But the important thing to realize is that previewing is the icing on the cake, not the cake itself. What I mean by that is you really want to make sure you've mastered a topic before moving on to the next topic. So complete practice questions, exam questions, or just make sure you can explain the concept really well before you move ahead. For me, I tried to work ahead in the math subjects, and I felt really rushed and just tried to complete as many chapters as I could, which meant that yes, I was a couple chapters ahead by the time school rolled around, but I had only reached a very surface level understanding, which didn't really help me when the second half of the year came around. So if you really want to preview effectively, then learn the content well, add one topic solidly to your foundation knowledge each time, and that way you won't be wasting your time. Part 2, I'll be going through my individual subjects and speaking about what tasks I think are the most important to complete for them in the holidays. And these are also the tasks that will probably bring in the greatest reward as well. The important thing to know is, as I've touched on in the previous section, everyone's revision should be different. There are areas that you're weak in that someone else isn't weak in. So in addition to the things I say, which are applicable to everyone, make sure to put in specialized, directed, concentrated effort in those areas that you're bad in, and that will also really boost your marks. So with the order of the subjects I'll be speaking about, I'll be talking about English first, then Eng Lang, then methods and Spesh together, then chemistry, Latin, and finally Chinese second language. Enjoy. First up, English. Read and watch all your text. I know it's annoying, but that's what you got to do, and the way to really maximize your effort is to put in concentrated effort. With your text, try and read it within a couple of days. Don't drag it out because that's when you'll stop being consistent. With your movie, try and watch it in one sitting as well. For me personally, I didn't watch or read my text that much. So with my play, Women of Troy, I'm pretty sure I read it once. My teacher took us through it once very thoroughly. And also I delved into the book many times, a lot of times, especially when I was completing my homework essays, as I was looking for moments and quotes to use. Now, as you read and watch, some things you can do include marking in important quotes. If something particular stands out to you, then just circle it. You don't need to be too thorough because you'll go through it later with your teacher. Same with the movie. One thing you can do is put down timestamps of particularly powerful moments. You might not know which moments will be useful to you later, and your teacher will go through those. But if some moments really stand out to you, just put in the timestamp for them so it's much easier for you to navigate the movie later on. Once again, concentrated effort, smart work will reap you the most benefit rather than dragging out reading a text for ages and ages, not soaking in much of it, and then having to read it again later in the year. And the second thing is something I've emphasized really strongly in my previous video, but spend a lot of effort on your homework essays. Leave no stone unturned. Make sure it's 100% of what you can produce at the time so that the feedback is actually useful. With Eng Lang, there are two main tasks that I recommend you complete. One is to go through the study design and make sure you know every single piece of meta language on that study design. That's something that I didn't really master even until the final exam, and if I was to sit Eng Lang all over again, I would make sure I did that. Now the second task is to build on your essay and paragraph bank. Continuously add more examples and add more paragraphs, because the essay section is one where what you produce at home and what you prepare at home directly correlates to what you put out on that exam and SAC sheet. because if you have no examples, no quotes, no contention, there's really nothing you can contribute to the essay topic. A good way to start is to look at past essay topics that you either chose or even didn't choose, and think about what paragraphs would have been useful to have, and then go out there and prepare those paragraphs. Also, with the essay, looking for examples takes a lot of time and is quite arduous, so the holidays are a good opportunity to complete this task. Next up are the math subjects, so the ones I studied, method Spesh, and this also includes further as well. I think math subjects are ones where it's really important to go over your past week areas. I also think maths is a subject where you can improve rapidly in, so don't lose hope if you're not doing so well at the moment. So there are probably topics that you found easier than others in semester 1, and I highly recommend you improve those difficult areas to a standard that you're satisfied with. Other tasks that you can complete are ones that you may have neglected during the semester, including your bound reference and your error book, so make sure to create those or look over those in the holidays when you have a bit more time. Now we have chemistry. At Scotch, the chemistry department gave us a lot of practice questions for homework, and I think practice questions are part of that important homework that I was speaking about. So make sure to spend a lot of time on it, check the answers and investigate why you got certain questions wrong, and also through the practice questions, identify what areas you're weak in. Now the second thing to do here is to revise content, because Chem is a very, very content heavy subject, and you don't really revise earlier terms content unless your teacher's really generous and does that. Otherwise, you kind of leave it till much later. So the holidays, once again, are a really good opportunity to have a look back at that previous knowledge. In second last, we have Latin. With Latin, make sure to get some unseen work done during the holidays. When school returns again, you'll be inundated with a lot of lines to remember and translate. So yeah, you won't have much time to work on your unseens, but unseens take time to improve. It's a really gradual process. So take time to complete some, reflect on your mistakes and all that. I'll be sharing some more advice about how I approach unseens, and I actually achieved a really, really high mark in them for my exam. And the second thing to do is, if you've started the Aeneid, I'm not sure if any classes have, memorize the lines. It's really important that you memorize the lines as you translate them. So if you've translated them in semester 1 and you haven't memorized any of them, memorize them now. It's a really tiring task, but it is a very, very crucial part of your exam and forms the whole basis of your understanding of the Aeneid. This is a bit of an optional task for Latin, but you can go through the study design and have a look at the poetic techniques, because they will be tested a lot in semester 2 and in your exam. If you want to consolidate your knowledge of them, you can try identifying these techniques in your text, but this isn't like a high priority task, because you will go over these techniques repetitively in your classes so much that they'll really become second nature. Finally, we have Chinese second language. This probably applies to the other Chinese subjects as well, and we're going to keep this short and sharp. There are many things you can do. You can memorize vocab, you can write essays, and these are all pretty good and they will gradually help you improve your Chinese. But I'm here to share with you like the most important thing that I want you to do, and that is to memorize your oral. It's hard, it's difficult. I went through it. It was a lot of pain in dark rooms, just reciting the oral over and over again. But once you've memorized it, it's very, very rewarding performing it, and it's just a big, big burden off your shoulders. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Making this video gave me a bit of deja vu from last year and the year before, but it was pretty fun revisiting all my subjects again. Enjoy the last little bit of school. I hope your studies are all going well, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.